Guys, we got to talk about Bethesda. All right, Bethesda, they're not happy right now. If you guys haven't been following the story regarding Bethesda, it ain't pretty. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you guys want to see more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join me every single day, 9 p.m. over on the main channel, where you can catch me live every single day, 9 p.m. Eastern. I hope to see every single one of you there. Now back to the main video. It ain't pretty, so let's talk about it. So, in case you guys need to be caught up on it, let me give you a little bit of context before we go over this wine fest that's about to happen. So Bethesda has been experiencing layoffs recently, and the people that got let go are the people that you could pretty much, in your mind imagine the kind of person that would get let go at Bethesda. And they've been having protests in front of the company. You have people that are no longer working there, combining with people that are still working there, that are joining forces and protesting Bethesda in front of the company. They're bringing out these giant rat, balloons and stuff when Asha Sharma shows up to the company. Anyway, it's a whole bunch of nonsense. And it's hilarious because these are the people that have, communist tattoos on their neck and stuff. I'm not even kidding. He literally has, a hammer sickle on his neck. But the journalists would never tell you that, by the way. So, Bethesda developers are still coping about it. And they're trying to blame Xbox for the sudden position that they're in. A Bethesda developer says that the cuts were rare before Xbox took over. All of a sudden, we have yearly layoffs. Here's what I'll say. I'm not going to pretend like Xbox and the executives at Xbox cannot make mistakes, because obviously they can, okay? Obviously, they could be an overcorrection for all I know. But what I do know is that Bethesda hasn't done a fucking thing for many, 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 many years. Bethesda has been riding on the coattails of Elder Scrolls Skyrim. They've been riding on the coattails of that video game. They assisted with the remake of Oblivion, but they weren't the sole developers of Oblivion. They only assisted with that. They haven't done a single thing. They've been, aside from Starfield, I guess Starfield, but nobody cares about Starfield. Realistically, they've been riding the coattails of Skyrim. That's really the game that everybody remembers in a positive light, I guess you could say. But Asha Sharma walked in there and said, you know what? We need to hold you guys accountable. We need to figure out what's going on, why you are not doing the job that you're supposed to be doing, and why you are in charge of some of the biggest, most popular, and most known IPs by a long shot. Because, to be fair, I'm trying to be fair, Bethesda does have some of the most famous IPs in gaming. Fallout is massive. Elder Scrolls is massive. There's no doubt about it. However, you guys are in charge of some of the biggest IPs in the world, and you're just twiddling your fucking thumbs. You're twiddling your thumbs at this point. Mr. Howard, you already know that man was trying to guarantee his salary for the next 15, 20 years. He was trying to milk this shit. So Asha Sharma went in there and said, you guys are bloated, number one. Number two, you guys haven't been doing anything. You need to get to work, and you need to make this happen, and you need to announce to the world your plans. So she went in there, and then literally the day after she left, Todd Howard puts out a statement over at Bethesda's main Twitter page talking about all the things they got planned. They got Fallout new video game. They got a Fallout remake. They got something they're working with Obsidian with. They got Elder Scrolls 6. They got all this shit, right? So when all of this went down, the Bethesda developers, obviously a lot of them got fired because, well, Xbox was cutting back. And on top of that, too, all these studios are bloated. I don't care how good of a studio you have. I guarantee you, if you're under Xbox, you're most likely bloated. There's no doubts in my mind about that. So she ends up letting some of them go. I think they fired 50 to 100 of them, something like that. And now, after all the protests, they're trying to make it seem as if, well, this is Xbox's fault. I don't see how exactly it's only Xbox's fault. It seems like they're trying to pass the blame off to Xbox because they don't want to admit that they're the reason why they're in the position they're in. So let's kind of go over it and see what they have to say. Xbox developers are holding a rally across the United States and Canada to bring attention to the widespread layoffs. Don't you guys notice how it's only them? Xbox has fired so many people, almost 2,000 people in the first round. They're going to fire another 2,000 people by the end of 2028, if I'm not mistaken. And it's only Bethesda that's protesting. They're the only ones that are out there. Almost as if the adult daycare came to the end, and now they're very unhappy about that. So let's see. And by the way, I mean, I just love these pictures that they all look like the BLM fists constantly. I just find it funny. Anyway, Xbox game developers will hold rallies to support laid off workers, call attention to the culture of layoffs that has permeated Microsoft, and demand better treatment for the workers who remain. When are you guys holding these rallies? Are you holding them on company time? Because this is not a strike, right? So, like, are you holding them on your day off? Like, what are you doing these rallies? I can understand the unemployed people doing the rallies because they got nothing better to do. They're unemployed. But what about the people that are still working there? Like, how exactly are you doing this? When are you doing this? Supported by the One Bethesda Game Studio Union and the Communication Workers of America, the Save Our Developers rally takes place in nine cities across the United States and Canada, as well as online on the United Video Game Workers CWA Twitch channel. Kotaku spoke to two members of the One BGS about their hopes for the rally, their hopes for the future, and what it's looking like working at an Xbox studio now. Oh boy, this has got to be good. The central focus of this rally is to bring attention to the rampant layoffs that have happened and will continue to happen across Xbox. When do you sit down and imagine to yourself, why is this happening? When do you sit down and think to yourself, okay, there's clearly got to be a reason why this is going down? But none of them actually want to do that. None of them want to say, okay, maybe we need to figure out what exactly went wrong. Again, I'm not saying it's only Bethesda's fault, because I do believe that Xbox did have a part to play in this. We already covered the whole ZeniMax situation where Xbox was taking money from the successful Elder Scrolls Online MMORPG, and they were using that to fund other projects of failing video games. We already talked about that. I think that's ridiculous, which ultimately ends up leading to layoffs at ZeniMax, which is a problem because it wasn't technically their fault. However, when it comes to Bethesda and you guys twiddling your fucking thumbs, that is your fault. That's absolutely your fault. So it kind of goes hand in hand. All of you guys have a hand to play in this stuff. Having put out 1,600 out of work already, and with that many cuts again planned before the middle of next year, as the gaming industry continues to contract with layoffs happening everywhere for years now, it's creating an environment in which layoffs seem inevitable and unavoidable. But this wasn't always the case. In fact, for Bethesda, that was almost never the case until Microsoft stepped in. So why do you think that's a flex, though? Why do you think that's a flex that almost nobody was fired from that studio? I don't think that's healthy. I don't think it's healthy to say that almost nobody was fired, because there's no way that you're going to convince me that everybody was doing such an amazing job that you all deserved your jobs and that pretty much nobody was laid off. It kind of seems like everybody wanted to be friends, and while the money was rolling in and nobody had to actually perform in order to keep a roof over their heads, it seemed like everybody wanted to protect each other's feelings instead of putting it in the work to ensure that the business keeps running. That's kind of what it seems like. After a while, the adult daycare nonsense is going to have to go away. You're not going to be able to do the adult daycare thing the entire time. Yeah, you might have got away with it for a couple of years, but after a while, you kind of have to do something. It's a business at the end of the day, and it's a sales business. Anyway, so it says this wasn't the case. Alex, a lead artist, has worked for Bethesda Games for several years before its acquisition by Microsoft. He said that when ZeniMax was Bethesda's sole parent company, layoffs didn't happen, but were few and far between. That was one of the benefits, he said. That's why a lot of people had such long tenure here. And they were like, yeah, this is the place I'm going to retire at. Or this is the place where I'm going to finish out. Or I love being here because I want to stay in the industry for a long time. That was basically one of the benefits of being at Bethesda or ZeniMax Studio in general. So basically, a false sense of security. That's kind of what it was. A false sense of security where they loved working there, not because they necessarily liked the job or liked the studio or liked the games they were working on. They liked it because they felt safe from accountability, which everybody else was having to deal with little by little as time went on. Because again, keep in mind, guys, the layoffs were happening for the last like year and a half now. Layoffs have been, we're over like 60,000 layoffs at this point. Layoffs have been happening nonstop for the last year and a half, and now it's at their doorstep, and now suddenly it's too much. I don't know, man. I think this is kind of crazy, and it really shows the mindset that people have. I fully understand wanting job security. I get that. I feel like everybody wants that. But you cannot, you just cannot, in a world where performance matters and you're trying to sell something, you cannot have complacency and expect some level of job security. I just think that's insane. You'll have people, this is a plague that affects some companies, or some positions, but you cannot be at that level of complacency and then expect job security. This is why a lot of jobs end up targeting older employees, because a lot of older employees, sometimes they get complacent, and you get some fresh blood in there. They're hungry. They want to go for the gold. And realistically, you should always have a backup plan. I think these people just didn't have a backup plan, and now they don't really know what to do. So realistically, at the end of the day, guys, like, I think Asha Sharma made the right move. And I understand these guys are friends with each other, and they want to pretend like the corporation's evil for doing this. But at the end of the day, the corporation is not your friend. To expect them to keep you employed because of my feelings, I think that's absolutely insane. And truthfully, I think this mindset exists because they genuinely believed from 2020 to like 2024, they believed that the corporation cared about them. They believed that the corporation cared about their social cause. They were eating up the fucking slop that these corporations were putting out there, not only to the public, but to also their own employees. Oh, yeah, we care about you guys. We care about diversity. It's very important, blah, 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 whatever. No, bro, after a while, you guys are useful idiots. They're going to get rid of you after a while. It's only a matter of time. So I just saw this story, and I'm like, I kind of just want to talk about it again because these people really, like, Bethesda's not letting up. They are not letting up. They're out here in full force, and they're angry. They're angry about being laid off. They're angry about losing their job. And realistically, you just have only yourselves to be angry at. That's really it. So, yeah, exactly. We tried to tell them, but they never leer. They never leer.